in the wood. They long to have children. One day, Mr. and Mrs. Dwarf were cleaning out their attic, and they found a black mirror with silver stripes. After dusting off the mirror, they decided to hang it in their bedroom.
Yay!
At bedtime, Mr. Dwarf said to Mr. Dwarf, I really wish we could have a baby dwarf to complete our family. The mirror was listening to them and began to glow in the dark bedroom. They looked into the mirror and saw 7 little dwarfs in the forest. They jumped out the bed and rushed the forest to find the baby.
Yay! Woo.
They rode on their sleigh through the snow and heard cries coming from a loud beeping trees. When they found the baby dwarfs, Mr. Dwarf said, let's take these babies home and put them as part of our family. When they got home, Mr. and Mrs. Dwarf wanted to name the babies. The mirror was listening and again, each of the babies named. They were named Nexus, Jack, Listening Smart, and Centuries. A few years later, the dwarfs were celebrating their 7th birthday. They decided instead of a birthday cake, they were going to bake gingerbread cookies. When the cookies had finished baking in the oven, the timer went off and one of the cookies came to life and started knocking on the oven door. When they opened the oven door, the gingerbread man jumped out of the oven and started running around the house. He jumped into the fruit bowl on the kitchen table. The dwarfs were still standing in the kitchen, shocked by what they saw. The gingerbread man ran to the dwarf's bedroom and was admiring himself in the mirror. He was thinking to himself, I wish I had a gingerbread house to live in. The mirror started glowing and showed the dwarfs in the kitchen making a house for the gingerbread man. The gingerbread man ran downstairs to see if the dwarfs were finished. He saw a gingerbread house made from graham crackers and decorated with candy. The grass was made from sour sticks and the roof was covered in licorice. The door was made from a wafer and a chocolate chip doorknob. The windows were lined with peppermint sticks, and inside there was a gumdrop ball pit and lollipop lamps. He had a marshmallow bed and a fruit roll blanket. The 7 dwarfs placed the gingerbread man inside his house and put it on the windowsill so that he could look into the woods each day. In a nearby cave under the ground, there lived an evil queen. She had long black hair and dark green eyes. She had sharp nails, painted red, and bony hands. She wore red lipstick and had very pointy teeth. She carried a staff with a crystal on the top. She wore a crown. She wore a red dress with spiders on it and a black bow. She wore a pearl necklace and a green cape. She had big floppy shoes and very skinny legs. She owned a pet fox. The evil queen lived in a rocky cave with spiderwebs hanging from the ceiling. There were bats flying around the cave and a secret dungeon. There were some animal bones and she used candles for light. She slept on a bed full of rocks and dirt. When the queen was a child, she lived in the cottage before the dwarfs moved there. On her 13th birthday, her mother gave her a beautiful black and silver striped mirror. She often admired herself in the mirror when she was playing in the attic. Several years later, when she became queen and moved out of the cottage, she accidentally left the mirror behind. When she finally realized that she had left the mirror behind in the attic, she was determined to do anything to get it back.
Woo-hoo.
One sunny day, the Doors decided to have a busy day. They left their house early in the morning, and the gingerbread man stayed home. He spent some time playing in his ball pit, and when he got tired, he decided to take a nap in his bed. Some of the Doors were chopping wood, and others were hunting for food. While some of them played soccer, others were looking for a gingerbread sitter. The queen overheard some of the Doors talking about needing a sitter for the gingerbread man. She disguised herself to look like a young girl.
Yay.
The queen walked to where she heard some of the Doors talking, and when the Doors saw her, they asked, "Please, can you help us and be a sitter for our gingerbread man?" The queen said yes, and they brought her home to meet the gingerbread man. When they got home, they were so exhausted from their busy day and decided to take a nap in their bedroom. When they left the queen downstairs wanting the gingerbread man. While the Doors were sleeping, the mirror began to glow very brightly and woke the Doors up. Then the mirror wrote on itself, "The sitter is really the evil queen. She wants to take me back to the cave." They ran downstairs and tied her immediately. One summer morning, the dwarves were packing their suitcases for a trip to the beach. The queen was still determined to get her mirror back and sent her fox to the dwarves' house each day to keep an eye on the mirror. When he saw the dwarves packing the mirror into one of their suitcases, he quickly ran back to the queen's cave to tell her what was happening. The queen and the fox watched the 7 dwarfs leaving their house and followed them to the beach. When they reached the beach, Smart studied his math book, Magical and Stinker were building sandcastles, and Crazy was splashing in the ocean. Hoofnick was collecting seashells, Jack was starting to unpack some items from his suitcase, and Messy was admiring himself in the mirror. When Messy had finished admiring himself, he left the mirror on the sand instead of putting it back in the suitcase. It was getting very hot, so all the dwarves decided to go swimming to cool off. Some of them were playing with a beach ball in the ocean. Crazy and Hoofnick needed floaties to help them swim. Magical was practicing his surfing, and Smart was scuba diving and looking at the fish in the ocean. Stinky was wearing his goggles and snorkel while all the dwarves were distracted in the ocean. The queen and the fox rushed onto the sand and took the magical mirror. Luckily, they left the trail of footprints in the sand. When the dwarves came out of the ocean, Jack was changing into dry clothing and noticed that the mirror was missing from his suitcase. When he looked closely, he saw footprints in the sand, and the dwarves became suspicious that the queen had taken the mirror. They followed the footprints all the way back through the woods and ended up at the queen's cave. Right below their feet, they saw a sign that said Queen's Cave and a letter leading the underground. Magical Jack and Stuart climbed down the ladder while the other dwarfs stayed above the ground in case the queen escaped. When they reached the queen's cave, they started searching for the magical mirror. The queen had left her cave with the fox to celebrate getting her mirror back and had hidden the mirror in her secret dungeon. The dwarves noticed light coming from under the door of the dungeon and knew that the magical mirror must be inside. They found the key to the dungeon under the queen's pillow and quickly unlocked the door. They rushed out quickly with the mirror, climbed the ladder, and went back to their cottage. When the queen returned to her cage, she noticed that the door to the dungeon was open. When she looked inside, she saw that the mirror was missing. Her face turned red with anger. She screamed so loud that her hair stood straight up and smoke started coming out of her ears. She said, "I hate those doors. I'll get my mirror back." One week later, the queen was thinking up another plot to get her mirror back. As the sun started to set, the queen made her way to the dwarf's house and used her ladder to climb onto the roof. She tried to slide down the chimney without making any noise because she didn't want to wake the dwarfs. As she was making her way down the chimney, her dress got stuck on a nail and she cried out for help. The gingerbread man heard the racket and went to wake up the 7 dwarfs. They all rushed toward the fireplace to see what was happening. They wanted to help the queen get out of the chimney, so they used the back of a nail hammer to remove the nail from the chimney. The queen fell onto the logs in the fireplace and broke a bone in her leg. Smart took out his medical book and some neosporin, and the dwarves all helped to bandage up the queen's leg to help her feel better. While the dwarves were bandaging her leg, she explained to them why she had been trying to take the magical mirror. She said, "On my 13th birthday, my mother gave me a mirror. Before I was a queen, I lived in this house. When I became queen, I moved out. I accidentally left my mirror behind. Crazy suddenly had a good idea and said, maybe we can come to an agreement to share the mirror." The dwarf's bedroom started to glow, and the mirror used its magical powers to turn the house into a castle. The gingerbread man started growing taller, and rainbow swirls of light surrounded him. His face started changing into a human, and he had golden hair, light blue eyes, and a crown on his head. He wore a black suit, white shirt, and the queen was amazed to see the king standing in front of her. The rainbow swirls also surrounded the queen, and she turned into a beautiful younger queen. The king and queen got married and lived in the castle with the doors, and they hung the magical mirror in the great hall of the castle. The mirror made fireworks above the castle as part of the celebration. They all lived happily ever after.